Welcome. Settle in. Let yourself sink deeper into comfort. As we begin our gentle journey into the world of gazelles. These elegant creatures have so much to teach us, and there's no rush, no hurry at all. Just relax and listen. If these gentle journeys bring you peace, consider leaving a kind word, sharing this moment with another, or joining our growing flock of quiet dreamers. Comment your favorite animal and I might include it in the next video. Let's begin with something beautiful. The very word gazelle itself carries poetry within it. The word likely comes from the Arabic gazelle, a word that does more than simply name an animal. In Arabic tradition, Gazelle also refers to a particular form of love poem. These poems spoke of beauty, of longing, sometimes of loss. The connection is no accident. When people saw gazelles moving across the desert, leaping with such impossible grace, they saw something that reminded them of the most beautiful things in life, things that move us deeply, things that are precious and fleeting. The very name of this creature has carried the weight of human admiration for centuries, intertwining the natural world with our deepest feelings. Even in language, the gazelle has been inseparable from grace, from beauty, from that which makes our hearts pause in wonder. Now, as you continue to relax, letting each breath come a little slower, a little deeper, we discover something that might surprise you about these graceful animals. Despite how much they might look like deer, with their slender legs and gentle faces, gazelles are not deer at all. They belong to an entirely different family, the Bovidae family. This means that gazelles are actually relatives of cattle, of goats, and of sheep. It seems almost impossible when you picture a gazelle, so delicate and swift, next to a heavy cow or a sturdy goat. Yet this is the beautiful complexity of nature, connections that aren't always visible on the surface, relationships that run deeper than appearance. Evolution has shaped them differently for different lives, but they share ancient bond. You're doing wonderfully, simply listening, letting your mind wander gently through these facts like a gazelle moving through tall grass. There's such peace in learning without effort, in letting knowledge wash over you like a warm, gentle wave. Let's look a little closer at where gazelles fit in the grand family tree of life. Within that Bovidae family we just mentioned, gazelles have their own special place, their own genus called Gazella. This genus is their particular branch on the tree, shared with other antelopes, with wild sheep, but distinct. Evolution has been working on this lineage for millions of years, slowly sculpting, refining, creating the gazelles we know today. They are related to many hoofed animals, yet they've developed their own path, their own special adaptations. When scientists study the relationships between animals, they see gazelles as a distinct evolutionary lineage, a unique expression of what a hoofed mammal can become when shaped by open plains, by predators, by the endless cycle of survival and GRA. See, as we continue our gentle exploration, breathing slowly, feeling more and more relaxed, let's consider the gazelle's feet. Gazelles are what scientists call artiodactyls, a word that means even-toed ungulates. Don't worry about the complex term. Just imagine the gazelle's hoof. The gazelle's body weight is distributed equally between the third and fourth toes. These two toes share the load, creating that distinctive split hoof. This is a trait gazelles share with many other animals. Cattle, deer, pigs, even camels. It's one of nature's successful designs, refined over millions of years. These hooves allow gazelles to run at remarkable speeds, to navigate rocky terrain, to move with barely a sound across packed earth. Each step is a small marvel of biological engineering, and as you imagine those careful, balanced steps, you might feel your own body settling more deeply, more evenly into You're absorbing so much. Your mind is calm and open, like a still pond reflecting moonlight. There's no need to hold on to every detail. Just let the words flow around you, through you, carrying you gently towards sleep. Gazelles, like you and me, are mammals. This means several important things about how they live. They are warm-blooded, maintaining their body temperature regardless of the desert heat or cool night air. Their bodies are covered in fur, usually tan or brown, perfectly colored to blend with the dry grasses and sandy soils of their homes. And gazelles give birth to live young, baby gazelles called calves. Rather than laying eggs, the mother gazelle carries her baby inside her, nourishes it, and when the calf is born, she nurses it with milk. There's something comforting in this, in knowing that these swift, wild creatures share these fundamental traits with us. The warmth of blood, the care of mother for child, the soft touch of fur or hair. We are different, yet connected. The world of gazelles is more diverse than you might imagine. Scientists recognize approximately 19 different species of gazelle, 19 unique variations on the theme of grace and speed. Each species is slightly different, adapted to its own particular corner of the world. There's Thompson's gazelle, perhaps the most well-known. Small and tan with a distinctive black stripe along its side. There's Grant's gazelle, larger, with magnificent curved horns. The Dama gazelle lives in the Sahara, its white and reddish-brown coloring unlike other species. Sadly, it's critically endangered now. Then there are Dorcas gazelles, Speke's gazelles, mountain gazelles. Each name represents a unique expression of what it means to be a gazelle. Each species has its own story, its own challenges, its own particular beauty. Let your breathing slow even more now. You're learning so much with such ease. Your mind is absorbing this gentle river of information, and it's carrying you softly, peacefully, toward deep rest. You're safe, comfortable, and perfectly at peace. These 19 species of gazelle make their homes across a vast range of the earth. Most gazelle species inhabit Africa, spread across the savannas, the grasslands, the deserts of that ancient continent. Picture the African plains, golden grass stretching to the horizon, acacia trees dotting the landscape, and gazelles grazing peacefully, always alert, always ready to run. But gazelles aren't found only in Africa. Some species also live in the Middle East, in the deserts of Arabia, where the very word gazelle was born. Others range into parts of Asia, into Iran, into India, into Mongolia. Wherever they live, gazelles have found ways to thrive in challenging environments. In places where water is scarce and predators are many, they've spread across 2 continents, adapting, surviving, continuing their ancient dance between predator and prey. When we think of where gazelles live, we might picture the African savanna or perhaps desert dunes. But many gazelles make their homes in another type of landscape called steppes. Steppes are dry shrublands and open plains, areas with some vegetation but not the lush grass of classic savannas. Picture vast open spaces, hardy bushes and scattered grasses. Swept by constant winds, these steppes stretch across both Africa and Asia, and gazelles have adapted beautifully to them. The open space allows them to see predators from far away, to use their greatest defense, their incredible speed. The scattered vegetation provides food, though never abundant. Living on the steppes requires efficiency, the ability to extract maximum nutrition from sparse resources, and gazelles have mastered this. As you imagine these open spaces, these endless horizons, feel your own mind opening, expanding, becoming as vast and peaceful as a steppe under starlight. You're doing so beautifully, halfway through your journey with gazelles, and you're more relaxed now than when we started. Your body is heavy and comfortable. Your mind is quiet and calm. Just continue to rest, to listen, to let go. Finally, let's return to where we started, to beauty, to symbolism, to meaning. The connection between gazelles and poetry in Arabic tradition is just one thread in a rich tapestry. Across Africa and Asia, in cultures that have lived alongside gazelles for thousands of years, these animals appear again and again in art, in literature, in folklore. They are symbols of beauty. Almost universally, their grace is proverbial. They represent swiftness, the ability to escape danger, to move like wind made flesh, and they embody elusiveness, something precious that cannot be easily caught or held, something wild and free. In ancient Persian poetry, the gazelle's eyes are the standard of beauty. In African folklore, the gazelle is often the clever one, using speed and wit to survive. In Hebrew scripture, the beloved is compared to a gazelle or a young stag, swift and lovely. For millennia, humans have looked at gazelles and seen not just animals, but reflections of what we value, what we find beautiful, what we aspire to be. This symbolic presence, woven through so many cultures, reminds us that gazelles are more than biological facts. They are part of our shared human story. So let's take a moment, a slow, peaceful moment, to reflect on what we've learned together. We discovered that the word gazelle comes from Arabic poetry, carrying beauty in its very name. We learned that despite appearances, gazelles are not deer but members of the cattle family. We explored their place in the genus Gazella, their even-toed hooves, their mammalian warmth. We found that there are 19 species spread across Africa and Asia, living in savannas, deserts, and open steppes. And we remembered that gazelles have meant something special to humans across cultures. Symbols of grace, speed, and elusive beauty. As you carry these gentle facts with you into sleep, imagine a gazelle moving across a dusky plain, effortless, peaceful, free, and let yourself drift, just like that, into peaceful rest. Breathe, relax, and know that you can continue this journey anytime. But for now, simply sleep, settle deeper now. Let your body sink further into softness. We're going to continue our peaceful journey with gazelles, learning more about these graceful creatures, allowing each fact to wash over you like gentle waves. There's no need to remember everything. Just listen, breathe, and relax. Let's begin by considering the wonderful variety in gazelle sizes. Not all gazelles are the same size. In fact, they vary quite remarkably from one species to another. The range is quite broad, stretching from the small to the surprisingly large. On the smaller end, we have Speke's gazelle, standing only about 2 feet tall at the shoulder. That's roughly 60 centimeters, and weighing around 20 kilograms. Imagine something about the size of a medium dog, delicate and compact. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we find the Dama gazelle, a much more imposing creature, reaching up to 5.5 feet tall at the shoulder, about 168 centimeters, and weighing anywhere from 40 to 75 kilograms. That's quite a difference. Picture these two gazelles side by side, one barely reaching the other's shoulder, yet both unmistakably gazelles, both sharing that essential grace. This diversity in size reflects different evolutionary pressures, different habitats, different survival strategies, all within the same family of animals. The Dama gazelle deserves special attention, not only because of its size, but because it holds a particular distinction. The Dama gazelle is the largest of all gazelle species, the giant among its kind, standing at that impressive 168 centimeters at the shoulder and weighing up to 75 kilograms or 165 pounds. It cuts a majestic figure on the landscape. Its height gives it a different perspective, allows it to see further across the plains, to spot danger from greater distances. Its greater mass means it can't run quite as nimbly as its smaller cousins, but it has other advantages, greater endurance perhaps, the ability to go longer without water. The Dama gazelle also has a striking appearance, with more white on its coat than other species, particularly on its neck and rump, making it look almost painted. Unfortunately, this magnificent animal is now critically endangered, with perhaps only a few hundred left in the wild. A reminder that beauty and size offer no protection from the challenges of the modern world. You're doing so well, breathing slowly, learning gently. Your mind is like still water, reflecting these images of gazelles without effort, without strain, just peacefully absorbing, peacefully drifting. At the other end of the size range, we find the smaller members of the gazelle family. Species like Speke's gazelle and Thompson's gazelle are among the smallest, standing only about 51 to 109 centimeters at the shoulder. That's roughly 20 to 43 inches. These gazelles can weigh as little as 12 kilograms, just 26 pounds. Thompson's gazelle, affectionately called Tommies by many wildlife observers, is one of the most numerous gazelles in East Africa, small and swift, with that distinctive black stripe along their sides. They move in herds across the Serengeti, like patterns of light and shadow flowing over the grass. Speke's gazelle, native to Somalia, is even smaller and much rarer. It has a unique feature, an inflatable nose pouch that makes a strange honking sound when alarmed. These small gazelles have their own advantages. They need less food, less water. They can hide more easily, and they can accelerate and turn with astonishing quickness. In nature, being small is not a disadvantage. It's simply a different strategy. Let's consider another small wonder, the Dorcas gazelle. This species is particularly notable because it's not just small for a gazelle. It's one of the smallest true antelopes in the entire world. The Dorcas gazelle highlights how the gazelle group spans the lower end of the antelope size spectrum. These delicate creatures inhabit the deserts of North Africa and the Middle East, places where being small is actually an advantage. A smaller body needs less food and water, crucial in an environment where both are scarce. The Dorcas gazelle can survive on the moisture from plants alone, never needing to drink. A smaller body also heats up and cools down more quickly, allowing for better temperature regulation in extreme climates. The name Dorcas comes from Greek, meaning gazelle, or in some interpretations, graceful one, and these small gazelles are indeed extraordinarily graceful, moving through harsh desert landscapes with impossible ease. Feel yourself sinking deeper into comfort. Your breathing is so calm now, so steady, like the gentle breathing of a sleeping gazelle. Your body knows how to rest, how to let go. Just continue listening. Continue relaxing. Now let's explore an interesting pattern in gazelle biology. something called sexual dimorphism in size. In most gazelle species, males are typically larger and heavier than females. This isn't random. It's tied to the way gazelles live and reproduce. Males compete with each other for mates and territory. They engage in displays of strength, sometimes actual combat, clashing horns with rival males. A larger body and heavier frame provide advantages in these contests. The bigger male often wins, earns the right to mate, passes on his genes. Females, on the other hand, face different pressures. They need to be quick and agile to escape predators, especially when pregnant or protecting young calves. Being slightly smaller can help with this, requiring less energy to maintain, allowing for quicker acceleration. So evolution has gently pushed males and females in slightly different directions. Not so far that they become different species, but enough that you can often tell them apart by size alone. It's nature's way of optimizing each sex for its particular role in survival and reproduction. One of the most striking features of gazelles, something that sets them apart from many other animals, is that both sexes have horns. In many horned animals, only males bear horns or antlers, but gazelle females grow their own horns, long, ridged, and curved, though typically smaller than those of males. In some species, like Grant's gazelle, the difference is quite dramatic, with males sporting horns nearly triple the size of females' horns. These horns serve multiple purposes. For males, they're weapons in combat, tools for display, symbols of strength and fitness. For females, the purpose is less clear. They may help in defense against predators, in establishing social hierarchies among females, or they might simply be a byproduct of the genetic instructions that build male horns. Whatever their function, they add to the gazelle's distinctive silhouette, those elegant curves rising from the head, catching the light, creating a crown of natural beauty. You're absorbing so much, and yet you're more relaxed with each passing moment. There's such peace in this, in learning without trying, in simply being present with these gentle truths about the natural world. Let your eyes remain closed. Let your body be heavy and still. Interestingly, although both sexes have horns in most gazelle species, the presence and size of horns don't always reliably indicate gender. The patterns vary across different gazelle species. In some species, female horns are so small they're barely noticeable, while in others, they're quite prominent. In certain populations, some females may have very small horns or even lack them entirely, while their sisters in the same herd have well-developed horns. This variation makes it challenging to determine a gazelle's sex from horn size alone. You need to consider the specific species, look at body size, observe behavior. It's a reminder that nature doesn't always follow strict rules. There's variation, flexibility, individual differences within the general patterns. The natural world is far more nuanced than our simple categories might suggest. In species where both sexes bear horns, females frequently have shorter and straighter horns than males. While male horns might sweep back in dramatic curves or lyre shapes, female horns are often more modest, rising straighter from the head, less ornate. There are good reasons for this difference. Growing and maintaining large horns requires significant energy, calcium, nutrients. For a female who must also invest enormous energy in pregnancy and nursing, smaller horns make economic sense. Large horns can also be dangerous. They can get caught in vegetation. They add weight that must be carried everywhere. They can cause injuries in falls or fights. For females, whose survival strategy relies more on speed and evasion than combat, keeping horns smaller and simpler reduces these risks while still providing some benefits. It's another example of evolution finding the right balance, the optimal solution for each animal's particular needs. Your mind is so peaceful now, floating gently through these facts like a leaf on a calm stream. You don't need to hold on to anything. Just let it all flow through you, carrying you deeper into tranquility, deeper into rest. Look closely at a gazelle's horns, and you'll notice they're not smooth. They bear distinct transverse rings, ridges that circle the horn from base to tip. These rings are quite pronounced in many species, creating a beautiful textured pattern. Some male gazelles show around 20 rings along the length of their horns, though the number varies by species and individual. Run your finger along a gazelle horn, if you ever had the chance, and you'd feel these ridges, one after another, regular as a heartbeat. These rings aren't decorative, they're functional, adding strength to the horn structure, preventing cracks from spreading. They may also provide better grip during horn clashes, preventing opponents' horns from sliding off during combat. But beyond function, they're beautiful, catching light and shadow, adding depth and texture to what might otherwise be simple curved shapes. These transverse rings on gazelle horns are actually growth bands, similar in concept to tree rings, though they don't work quite the same way. The rings form as the horn grows, layer upon layer of keratin, the same material that makes up your fingernails and hair, being deposited over time. In some contexts, these rings can reflect the gazelle's age or growth history. However, interpreting them is not as straightforward as counting tree rings. The rate of horn growth varies with season, with food availability, with the animal's health. A gazelle might grow horn material quickly during times of plenty, slowly during drought. Young gazelles add rings faster than old ones. Still, researchers sometimes use these patterns to estimate age, to study population dynamics, to understand the life history of individual animals. The horns become a record, a story written in keratin of the life lived by that gazelle. Let your breathing become even slower now, even deeper. You're doing beautifully, learning about these rings, these patterns, these natural records, and as you learn, You spiral gently down into deeper relaxation, like those rings spiraling up the horn, a natural pattern, peaceful, inevitable. The ringed nature of gazelle horns is such a consistent feature that it's become a key identification characteristic. When wildlife biologists or observers spot an antelope in the field, they look at the horns. Are they ringed? Those distinctive ridges running across them? If yes, it's likely a gazelle. This feature helps distinguish gazelles from other antelopes that might have smooth horns or horns with different patterns. In the field, when you might see an animal at a distance, in varying light, these distinctive features become crucial. The ringed horns, combined with the animal's size, coloration, and habitat, allow for confident identification. Its nature providing us with field marks, like a bird watcher's guide, built right into the animal's anatomy. These rings are part of what makes a gazelle, as essential to their identity as their speed or grace. The shape of gazelle horns varies wonderfully across species, adding to their diversity and beauty. Some species, particularly Grant's gazelle, exhibit what's called lyre-shaped or strongly curved horns. Picture a lyre, the ancient Greek musical instrument, with two curved arms rising from a base. Grant's gazelle horns sweep back and up in similar curves, elegant and dramatic, especially in mature males. These lyre-shaped horns are not just beautiful, they're functional. During combat, males bring their heads together, horns interlocking, pushing and twisting. The curved shape provides mechanical advantage, distributes force, prevents horns from penetrating too deeply and causing fatal injuries. The shape also plays a role in display. A male with impressive horns signals his fitness, his genetic quality, his worthiness as a mate. Females may choose mates partly based on horn size and shape. So evolution continues to sculpt these magnificent structures. You're more than halfway through this segment now, and you're doing wonderfully. Your body is so relaxed, your mind so calm and open. Just continue to rest, to listen, to let these gentle facts about gazelles carry you closer and closer to peaceful sleep. Let's shift our attention now from horns to the gazelle's face. Many gazelle species have prominent black or dark facial markings, stripes and patches that contrast sharply with their tan coats. These markings vary by species, but often include dark stripes running from the eyes toward the nose, or dark patches on the cheeks. Thompson's gazelles have very distinctive face markings. A black stripe running along the side, dark markings around the eyes. These markings serve multiple purposes. They aid in species recognition, allowing gazelles to identify members of their own species from a distance. In a mixed herd of different antelopes, these face patterns help individuals find and stay with their own kind. The markings might also play a role in camouflage, though this seems counterintuitive. In the dappled light and shadow of grasslands, Bold stripes can actually break up the outline of the face, making it harder for predators to track the gazelle's movements. The contrast between light and dark creates visual confusion, especially when the gazelle is moving, making it harder to judge distance and speed. The overall coloration of most gazelles follows a classic pattern, beautifully adapted to their environment. Most gazelles have tan or reddish-brown coats on their upper parts, their backs and sides, with white underparts and distinctive rump patches. This pattern serves an important purpose: camouflage. In the dry grasslands and deserts where gazelles live, tan and brown are the dominant colors. Dry grass, sandy soil, dusty earth, all blend together in shades of tan and gold. A gazelle standing still in this environment, with its tan back toward the sky and white belly in shadow, becomes remarkably difficult to see. The white rump patch might seem like it would make them more visible, but it actually serves a function. When a gazelle runs, the white rump flashes like a signal, alerting other gazelles to danger, helping the herd coordinate their escape. Predators are drawn to the moving white patch, but by the time they focus on it, the gazelle is already in full flight. Feel the weight of your body, so heavy and comfortable, like a gazelle resting in the shade during the heat of the day. Every muscle loose and relaxed, every breath carrying you deeper into peace. You're safe, you're comfortable, you're learning and resting all at once. Let's look more closely at that classic gazelle color pattern. Most gazelles display tan or reddish-brown upperparts, often with a contrasting white rump patch, and frequently with a dark lateral stripe running along their sides. This is such a common pattern that it's become the definition of gazelle coloration. Thompson's gazelle shows this perfectly. A tan back, white belly, bold black stripe along the side, and bright white rump. The pattern creates what's called counter shading. The darker back faces the light sky. The lighter belly is in shadow. This reduces the three-dimensional appearance of the body, makes the gazelle look flat, harder to see. It's a form of optical illusion, evolved over millions of years, painted not by artists but by the steady hand of natural selection. Each gazelle is a masterpiece of adaptive coloration, every shade and marking serving survival. Many gazelles show horizontal dark stripes or bands on their sides, and these serve a special function in camouflage. These stripes help break up the body outline in mixed grass and shadow. This is called disruptive camouflage or disruptive coloration. When a gazelle stands among tall grasses, with shadows falling in stripes across the landscape, the horizontal bands on its sides blend with the shadows of grass stems and branches. The predator's eye, seeking the outline of a gazelle, finds instead a confusing pattern of light and dark stripes. Grass or gazelle, the hesitation, even a fraction of a second, can be the difference between life and death. This type of camouflage works best when the animal is still. Once the gazelle runs, the pattern changes function. The stripes create a flickering effect that makes it harder to track movement, harder to judge speed and distance. Every aspect of the gazelle's appearance has been refined by the endless game of predator and prey. Your breathing is so slow and steady now, so peaceful, like the quiet breath of wind through dry grass. You're learning about patterns, about stripes, about camouflage, and these patterns are soothing, repetitive, peaceful, carrying you down into deep relaxation. In addition to the common tan and white pattern, many gazelles display spots or stripes on their coats, adding another layer of individual and species variation. Some species have spotted patterns on their sides or dappled markings on their legs. Young gazelles often have slightly different markings than adults, sometimes more spots or a softer color pattern. Even within a single species, individuals vary. One Thompson's gazelle might have a thicker black stripe than another. One might have more white on its face. These variations add richness to the gazelle population. They might also help with individual recognition, allowing gazelles to identify specific herd members. Perhaps a mother knows her calf partly by a unique pattern of spots, or a male recognizes a rival by his particular markings. The variations remind us that while we might think of a gazelle as a single type, each one is an individual, unique, with its own particular beauty. Some subspecies of gazelles show darker or more reddish coats than others. This regional coat color variation is likely influenced by local environmental conditions and regional adaptation. Gazelles living in areas with reddish soil might be slightly more reddish themselves, blending better with their specific background. Those in areas with more vegetation might be slightly darker than those in pure desert. Climate affects coat color too. In cooler regions, darker coats absorb more heat, helpful on cold nights. In hotter regions, lighter coats reflect more sunlight. Over many generations, gazelle populations subtly shift in color, adapting to their particular corner of the world. It's microevolution in action, each population fine-tuning itself to local conditions, becoming more and more perfectly suited to exactly where it lives. You're so deeply relaxed now, your whole body at peace, your mind quiet and calm. Just a few more gentle facts, a few more peaceful moments, and then rest, complete rest. Finally, let's appreciate one more aspect of the gazelle's coloration. They're generally light tan or sandy coats. This coloring isn't just for camouflage. It also helps with temperature regulation. Light-colored fur reflects sunlight much better than dark fur. In the hot, arid environments where most gazelles live, where temperatures can soar above 40 degrees Celsius, that's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, staying cool is a matter of life and death. Dark surfaces absorb heat, light surfaces reflect it. A gazelle's tan coat acts like a natural sun reflector, bouncing heat away rather than absorbing it. Combined with other adaptations, like seeking shade during the hottest hours, being most active at dawn and dusk, and having specialized blood vessels that cool blood before it reaches the brain. The light-colored coat is part of a sophisticated cooling system. It's beautiful and it's functional, nature at its most elegant, solving the problem of desert heat with nothing more than the color of fur. So let's take a slow, peaceful moment to reflect on everything we've learned in this segment. We discovered the wonderful size variation in gazelles. From tiny Speaks gazelles to large Dama gazelles, we learned about sexual dimorphism, with males typically larger than females. We explored their magnificent horns, present in both sexes, ringed with growth bands, sometimes lyre-shaped and dramatic. We examined their beautiful coloration, the tan and white pattern, the facial markings, the horizontal stripes that break up their outline, the regional variations, and the light colors that reflect desert heat. Each of these features, from the smallest marking to the largest horn, serves the gazelle's survival, helps it thrive in challenging environments. Every aspect of the gazelle is both beautiful and purposeful, form and function united in grace. As you drift now towards sleep, imagine a gazelle in the late afternoon sun, its tan coat glowing gold, horns catching the light, horizontal stripes melting into grass shadows, perfectly adapted, perfectly beautiful, perfectly at peace. And like that gazelle, you too can rest, can be still, can simply be. Let yourself go now into gentle, peaceful, restful sleep. Breathe, release, and rest. Welcome back to this peaceful journey. Let yourself settle even more deeply now. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to be still. We're going to explore how gazelles live together, how they form communities, how they navigate their social world. Just breathe, listen, and let these gentle truths carry you towards sleep. Gazelles are not solitary creatures. They are social herd animals, living together in groups that provide safety, companionship, and collective awareness. These herds can vary dramatically in size, from just a few individuals, perhaps a mother and her young, or a small group of bachelor males, to much larger gatherings of dozens or even hundreds of animals. Some herds number up to 700 gazelles. Imagine that, 700 sets of eyes watching for danger, 700 individuals moving together like a single organism flowing across the plains. But gazelle herds are not rigidly organized. They don't follow a single dominant leader the way wolf packs follow an alpha. Instead, gazelle social structure is more fluid, more democratic in a way. Herds are often split by sex or status, females and young in one group, adult males in another, territorial males standing alone. It's a flexible system, adapting to circumstances, to seasons, to the availability of food and water. Sometimes, under the right conditions, gazelle gatherings become truly spectacular. While many herds are modest in size, perhaps 20 or 30 individuals, gatherings of up to 800 gazelles have been recorded. 800 gazelles together, moving as one across the savanna, is a sight that takes the breath away. These superherds usually form when resources are abundant and concentrated. When rain has brought fresh green grass to a particular area, drawing gazelles from miles around. In these moments, the landscape seems to ripple with movement, tan bodies everywhere, horns catching the light, the sound of hundreds of hooves on dry earth. But these massive gatherings are temporary. When the grass is consumed or the dry season returns, the superherd dissolves, splitting back into smaller groups that disperse across the landscape, each seeking its own path to survive. You're doing so well, breathing deeply, learning peacefully. Your mind is absorbing these images of flowing herds, hundreds of gazelles moving together, and it's soothing, like watching waves on the ocean, repetitive, peaceful, calming. Let yourself drift deeper now. What do we call a group of gazelles? The most common term is simply a herd, straightforward and descriptive. When you see gazelles gathered together, you're looking at a herd of gazelles. But language, especially when it comes to groups of animals, can be wonderfully creative. Some sources also refer to large gatherings of gazelles as a tribe. This term carries a slightly different feeling, suggesting not just a random assembly but a group with some cohesion, some shared identity. A tribe of gazelles is a poetic term, one that acknowledges the social bonds that connect these animals. Whether you call them a herd or a tribe, the essence is the same. Gazelles living together, benefiting from each other's presence, eyes and ears multiplied, safety in numbers, the ancient strategy of the prey animal. The social structure of gazelle herds is more complex than it might first appear, and it varies between species. In Thompson's gazelle, for example, researchers have observed distinct sex-specific social structures. Females live in mixed groups with their young. These maternal herds move together, grazing, watching for predators, raising calves. Adult males, however, often live quite differently. Some become territorial, claiming a patch of ground and defending it from other males, standing alone in their territory, waiting for female herds to pass through. Other adult males, those without territories, live solitary lives or form small bachelor groups. These bachelor groups are loose associations, males tolerating each other's presence, perhaps finding some safety in numbers, but without the tight bonds of the female groups. It's a divided society in a way, males and females living separate lives, coming together only briefly for mating. Feel the heaviness in your limbs, the softness of your breathing. You're learning about social structures, about males and females, about different ways of living, and it's all flowing through your peaceful mind like water through a stream bed. Gentle, natural, easy. You're so relaxed now. Interestingly, while Thompson's Gazelle shows that bachelor group pattern, social patterns vary across gazelle species, and certain species form male-led herds instead. In these species, rather than adult males living separately, a mature male may accompany and guide a group of females and young. This male doesn't dominate through aggression, but rather through presence, perhaps through experience. He might be more vigilant, quicker to spot danger, and the herd benefits from following his lead. Different species have evolved different social strategies, each adapted to their particular environment, their particular pressures. There's no single right way to be a gazelle, no universal social structure. Instead, we see variation, experimentation, different solutions to the same basic problems of survival and reproduction. Even within these patterns, gazelle herds exhibit fluid leadership structures. Unlike a wolf pack with its clear alpha, or a pride of lions with a dominant male, gazelle herds often have dynamic, non-rigid leadership that shifts with context. When the herd is moving to water, one individual might lead, perhaps an older female who knows the way. When fleeing from a predator, a different gazelle might lead, the fastest, the most alert. Leadership is situational, temporary, not about dominance but about circumstance. This flexibility is actually an advantage. It means the herd can respond to different situations with different expertise, drawing on the strengths of various individuals rather than relying on one leader who might not always make the best decisions. It's a distributed intelligence, the wisdom of the crowd, elegant in its adaptability. Your breathing is so slow now, so steady and peaceful, like the steady movement of a herd across open plains. You're learning about leadership, about flexibility, about communities that shift and change, and it's also calming, so soothing, carrying you deeper into rest. This brings us to a fascinating concept in animal behavior, something scientists call fission fusion dynamics, and gazelle groups demonstrate this beautifully. Fission fusion behavior means that herd size and composition change fluidly, constantly. The herd fissions, splits apart into smaller groups, and then fuses, comes back together, and this happens repeatedly, responding to seasons, to food distribution, to migration patterns. During the wet season when grass is abundant everywhere, gazelle herds might split into many small groups, spreading out to take advantage of dispersed resources. During the dry season when water and green grass are limited to a few locations, herds might fuse together into larger gatherings around those resources. During migration, groups might merge into massive traveling herds, then split again upon reaching their destination. Individual gazelles might move between groups, joining one herd for a while, then leaving to join another. It's a fluid, dynamic social system constantly adjusting to circumstances, never rigid, always responsive to the environment. Finally, let's consider how gazelles interact not just with each other, but with other species. Gazelles frequently graze alongside non-competing plant eaters like zebras, wildebeest, and other antelopes. You might see a mixed herd, gazelles grazing among zebras, each species focused on its own preferred plants. Zebras eat taller, coarser grasses, while gazelles prefer shorter, more tender vegetation. They're not competing for the same food, so they can coexist peacefully. In fact, they benefit from each other's presence through what's called shared vigilance. More animals mean more eyes and ears watching for predators. A zebra might spot a lion that a gazelle missed, its alarm call alerting everyone. A gazelle's superior hearing might catch the sound of a stalking cheetah, its flight warning the zebras. Together, these mixed species herds create a network of awareness, a collective security system. Each species contributes, each benefits, its cooperation without deliberate intent. Simply animals existing alongside each other, finding safety in diversity. Let your mind be quiet now, still and peaceful like the evening savanna. You've learned so much, absorbed so many gentle truths, and now you can simply rest, simply be, allowing sleep to come naturally, easily, inevitably. Let's reflect softly on what we've discovered together in this segment. We learned that gazelles are social herd animals, living in groups that can range from a few individuals to impressive superherds of 800 or more. We discovered that we can call these gatherings herds or tribes. We explored the complex social structures, with sex-specific patterns, bachelor groups, and sometimes male-led herds. We found that leadership in gazelle herds is fluid and dynamic, shifting with circumstances rather than fixed on one dominant individual. We learned about fission fusion dynamics, the constant splitting and merging of herds in response to seasons and resources, and we saw how gazelles benefit from grazing alongside other herbivores, sharing vigilance without competing for food. All of these social strategies, all of this flexibility and cooperation, help gazelles survive in a challenging world. As you drift towards sleep now, imagine yourself part of a peaceful herd, moving slowly across golden grassland, surrounded by others, safe, calm. Together, let that sense of peaceful belonging carry you down into deep, restful, healing sleep. Breathe, release, and rest completely. Settle deeper now, deeper still. Your body is so heavy, so comfortable. We're going to explore how gazelles nourish themselves, how they eat, how they survive in harsh places where water is scarce and food is limited. Let each fact wash over you like a gentle wave. There's nothing to remember, nothing to hold. Just listen, breathe, and DRI. FT. Let's begin with what gazelles eat and how they eat it. Many gazelles are what scientists call selective grazers. They don't just eat any plant within reach. Instead, they prefer short, tender grasses and fresh shoots, the most nutritious parts of plants, the youngest, most succulent growth. Picture a gazelle moving slowly through the grass, head down, carefully selecting the best blades, the tenderest tips, leaving tougher, older vegetation behind. This selectivity is important. It means gazelles don't compete as much with browsers, those animals that eat leaves from bushes and trees. Giraffes are browsers, reaching high into acacia trees. Gazelles graze low, on the ground, seeking grass. By occupying this particular niche, feeding in this particular way, gazelles reduce competition and carve out their own space in the ecosystem. Every animal has its role, its preference, its particular way of feeding, and the gazelle's way is careful selection of the tenderest grass. But gazelles are more flexible than the term grazer might suggest. While often described primarily as grass eaters, many gazelles actually function as mixed feeders, switching among grasses, forbs, and browse depending on season and location. A forb is a broad-leafed herbaceous plant. Think of small flowering plants, clover-like vegetation, different from grasses. Browse means leaves and twigs from woody plants, bushes, and small trees. Gazelles eat all of these, shifting their diet based on what's available. In the wet season, when fresh grass is abundant, they might eat mostly grass. In the dry season, when grass becomes tough and brown, they might switch to browsing on shrubs, eating leaves that retain more moisture. This dietary flexibility is a survival strategy. It means gazelles aren't dependent on any single food source. When one type of food becomes scarce, they simply shift to another, adaptable, resilient survivors. You're doing beautifully, breathing so slowly, learning so peacefully. Your mind is like a gazelle moving through a field, gently selecting what it needs, leaving the rest behind. You're absorbing just what you need from these words and letting everything else drift away. So relaxed, so peaceful. This brings us to an important pattern in gazelle feeding: seasonal diet switching. Gazelles adjust what they eat throughout the year, shifting between grasses, leaves, and shoots depending on what's most available and nutritious at different times. Think about the seasons in the savanna. The wet season brings rain, and with rain comes an explosion of fresh green growth. New grass shoots up, tender and full of moisture and nutrients. During this time, gazelles feast on grass, building up their strength, gaining weight. But when the dry season arrives, the grass browns and withers, becoming tough and fibrous, low in nutrition. At this time, gazelles shift their attention to other foods. They might browse on leaves from shrubs that stay green longer, They might seek out particular plants that store water in their leaves. This seasonal flexibility allows gazelles to maintain their nutrition year-round. Despite dramatic changes in their environment, they flow with the seasons, changing as the land changes, always finding a way. While grasses and shoots form the foundation of their diet, gazelles also eat other items when available, including berries and legumes. Legumes are plants like beans and acacia pods, protein-rich seeds and pods that provide concentrated nutrition. When an acacia tree drops its pods, gazelles eagerly consume them, each pod a packet of protein and energy. Berries, too, when available, offer sugars and moisture, a sweet treat in an otherwise fairly uniform diet of grass and leaves. Gazelles are opportunistic in this way. If something nutritious is available, they'll eat it. This dietary diversity helps ensure they get all the nutrients they need. Not just calories, but also minerals, vitamins, protein. A varied diet is healthier, and gazelles, within the constraints of their digestive system and their environment, seek variety when they can find it. One of the more charming behaviors of gazelles is their ability to reach higher vegetation. When trying to access foliage beyond their normal standing height, gazelles can rear up on their hind legs to browse leaves from bushes and low trees. Picture it: a gazelle standing on its back legs, front hooves resting against a branch, stretching its neck to reach tender leaves just out of normal reach. It's a moment of vulnerability. Standing on two legs makes them less stable, slower to react if a predator appears. But the reward, those fresh green leaves, can be worth the risk. This bipedal browsing shows the gazelle's flexibility, its willingness to take small risks for better food. It's a reminder that these animals are more than just runners. They're problem solvers, adapting their behavior to access resources, making the most of what their environment offers. Feel how deeply relaxed you are now. Your breathing is so steady, like the gentle rhythm of a gazelle browsing peacefully in the cool evening. You're safe, comfortable, learning without effort. Your mind is quiet, your body is still. Just continue to rest, to listen, to drift deeper. The gazelle's teeth are specially adapted to their diet and environment. They have thick, specialized teeth designed to extract moisture from plant interiors and to process tough, fibrous vegetation in dry habitats. Think about what grass becomes in the dry season: tough, fibrous, almost like chewing hay or straw. The gazelle's molars are broad and ridged, perfect for grinding this tough material, breaking down the plant cell walls to release whatever nutrition and moisture remains inside. Their teeth continue to grow throughout their lives, compensating for the constant wear of grinding, abrasive vegetation. Some of the plants gazelles eat contain silica, essentially tiny particles of glass, which wear down teeth quickly. But the gazelle's teeth keep growing, keep renewing, allowing them to eat these tough plants year after year. It's another elegant adaptation, teeth designed for the specific challenge of extracting life from dry vegetation. Beyond specialized teeth, gazelles have a remarkable digestive system. Like other ruminants, gazelles have a two-part stomach system, a complex arrangement that lets them store and later reprocess food. This is the biology behind rumination, or chewing the cud. A gazelle will graze for a period, swallowing grass quickly without fully chewing it. The food goes into the first chamber of the stomach, where it's stored and begins to ferment with the help of specialized bacteria. Later, when the gazelle is resting in a safe place, it regurgitates small amounts of this partially digested food back into its mouth, chews it thoroughly, and swallows it again, sending it to the second stomach chamber for further digestion. This system is incredibly efficient. It allows gazelles to eat quickly in the open, where they're vulnerable to predators, and then retreat to safety to complete the actual digestion. It also helps them extract maximum nutrition from low-quality food. The fermentation breaks down tough plant fibers, and the repeated chewing releases every last bit of nutrients. Your eyelids are so heavy, if they're not already closed, let them close now. You're learning about complex systems, about digestion, about efficiency, and it's all flowing through your peaceful mind, requiring nothing from you, just gentle awareness, gentle drift towards sleep. This brings us to the gazelle's remarkable ability to process fibrous plant material efficiently. Their entire digestive system, from specialized teeth to multi-chambered stomach to a long intestinal tract, is adapted to extract maximum nutrition from tough, fibrous plants. In environments where nutrient availability fluctuates dramatically, where the wet season brings abundance but the dry season brings scarcity, this digestive efficiency can mean the difference between life and death. Gazelles can survive on vegetation that many animals would find indigestible. They can extract water and nutrients from dry grass, from tough leaves, from woody browse. Their digestive system hosts billions of microorganisms, bacteria and other microbes that break down cellulose and other complex plant molecules that the gazelle itself cannot digest. As a partnership, the gazelle provides a warm, safe environment for these microbes, and in return, the microbes break down food and produce nutrients the gazelle can absorb. This elegant symbiosis allows gazelles to thrive where others might starve. One of the most remarkable adaptations of gazelles, particularly those living in deserts and arid savannas, is their ability to survive with very little water. Many gazelles can extract sufficient moisture from the leaves, shoots, and grasses they eat. This allows some species to go their entire lives without drinking free water. Their entire life, from birth to death, without a single drink from a stream or waterhole. It seems impossible, but it's true. The plants they eat, even in dry seasons, contain some moisture. A fresh green shoot might be 70 or 80% water. Even dry grass retains some moisture, especially in the early morning when dew has settled on it. By eating large quantities of vegetation, and by having digestive systems incredibly efficient at extracting every drop of moisture, gazelles can meet their water needs without drinking. This frees them from dependence on waterholes, where predators often wait. It allows them to range far into desert areas where other animals cannot survive. The ability to live without drinking is one of the gazelle's superpowers, a key to their success in harsh environments. You're so deeply relaxed now, sinking deeper with every breath. Your body knows how to be efficient too, breathing slowly, heart beating steadily, using just the energy it needs, conserving, peaceful, like a gazelle in the desert, perfectly adapted, perfectly calm. Let's explore more of these water-saving adaptations, because they're truly remarkable. In drought or heat stress, some gazelles can temporarily reduce the size of certain organs, including the liver and heart. This sounds extreme, and it is, but it's also brilliant. Smaller organs require less oxygen. Less oxygen demand means slower breathing. Slower breathing means less water lost through evaporation from the lungs. Every breath you take, you lose a tiny bit of moisture. It evaporates from the warm, wet surfaces inside your lungs and airways. In the desert heat, this water loss can be significant. By shrinking their organs temporarily, gazelles reduce their metabolic rate, breathe more slowly, and conserve precious water. When conditions improve, when they find better food and perhaps some water, their organs return to normal size. It's a temporary survival strategy, a way to endure the harshest conditions. Another reminder of just how precisely adapted these animals are to their challenging world. Gazelles also conserve water through their waste products. They produce very concentrated urine and relatively dry feces, minimizing moisture loss. While animals in water-rich environments might produce dilute urine, gazelles' kidneys are extremely efficient at extracting water and returning it to the bloodstream, producing urine that's highly concentrated, almost syrupy. This means they lose as little water as possible in urination. Similarly, their feces are quite dry, especially compared to animals that eat moisture-rich foods or live in wetter climates. Every physiological system in the gazelle's body is oriented toward water conservation, from their breathing to their digestion to their waste elimination. This total body efficiency, every organ, every process, working together to maintain water balance in an environment where water is the most precious resource. Let your whole body be still now, quiet and peaceful. You're learning about conservation, about efficiency, about systems working in perfect harmony, and perhaps your own body is doing the same, conserving energy, slowing down, preparing for the restorative work of sleep. You're so peaceful, so ready to rest. Finally, let's consider when gazelles choose to feed. Many species practice what's called time-shifted feeding, They feed primarily in the cooler early morning or evening when plants hold more moisture. Think about a grass plant through the course of a day. In the early morning, dew has settled on the leaves. The plant is as moisture-rich as it will be all day. As the sun rises and the day heats up, this moisture evaporates. By midday, the same plant is dry and desiccated. By evening, as temperatures cool, the plant may recover some moisture from the air. Gazelles understand this rhythm, not intellectually perhaps, but instinctively through millions of years of evolution. They feed when feeding yields the most moisture, the most nutrition per mouthful. This means they're most active at dawn and dusk. Those beautiful transition times when the light is soft and golden, these are called crepuscular periods, the edges of day and night, and many gazelles are crepuscular feeders. Some are also nocturnal, feeding at night when it's coolest, resting during the brutal heat of midday. This behavioral adaptation, this timing of activity, is yet another way gazelles cope with heat and limited water. Work when it's cool, rest when it's hot. It's wisdom we might all benefit from. Let's take a slow, peaceful breath and reflect on what we've learned in this segment. We discovered that gazelles are selective grazers, preferring tender grasses but functioning as flexible mixed feeders, switching their diet with the seasons to include grasses, forbs, browse, berries, and legumes. We learned they can rear up on their hind legs to reach higher vegetation. We explored their specialized teeth and two-chambered stomachs, perfectly adapted to process fibrous plants efficiently. We marveled at their water conservation strategies, extracting moisture from food, shrinking organs during drought, producing concentrated waste, and timing their feeding to cooler hours when plants hold more moisture. Every aspect of the gazelle's feeding and digestion is a masterpiece of adaptation, allowing them to thrive in some of Earth's harshest environments. As you drift towards sleep now, imagine a gazelle in the cool dawn, peacefully grazing on dew-covered grass, perfectly adapted, perfectly at peace, needing nothing but what the earth provides. Let yourself be like that gazelle, perfectly at peace, needing nothing, complete in this moment. Allow sleep to come naturally, gently, like dawn giving way to day, inevitable, peaceful rest. Breathe slowly, release completely, and sleep deeply. Let yourself sink even deeper now, deeper into comfort, deeper into peace. We're going to explore the gazelle's remarkable senses, how they perceive their world, how they communicate with each other. Just breathe slowly and let these gentle truths flow through your peaceful mind. Let's begin with the gazelle's extraordinary vision. Their eyes are large, beautiful, dark and luminous, and they're positioned on the sides of their head rather than facing forward like ours. This lateral placement gives gazelles something quite remarkable: an extremely wide field of view, close to 360 degrees. Imagine being able to see almost completely around yourself, behind you, to both sides, without turning your head. A gazelle grazing with its head down can still see the landscape spreading out in nearly all directions. This makes it incredibly difficult for predators to sneak up on them. A lion trying to stalk a gazelle must approach with extraordinary stealth, using every bit of cover, because the gazelle can see movement from almost any angle. Even directly behind them, gazelles have some visual awareness. This panoramic vision is a powerful defense, an early warning system built into the very structure of their eyes. What they sacrifice is depth perception, the three-dimensional vision that forward-facing eyes provide. But for a prey animal on open plains, the ability to see danger from any direction is far more valuable than precise depth perception. It's a trade-off, and evolution has chosen wisely. Vision is crucial, but gazelles don't rely on sight alone. They also have an enhanced sense of smell that plays a vital role in predator detection. The gazelle's nose is constantly working, drawing in air, analyzing scents on the wind. They can smell a lion from a considerable distance, especially if the wind is favorable, carrying the predator's scent toward them. Smell provides information that vision cannot. A predator hidden behind a bush might be invisible, but its scent betrays its presence. Gazelles also use smell to assess environmental threats, to detect the freshness of predator markings, to identify individuals, perhaps even to sense fear or stress in other gazelles. Their moist noses, their large nasal passages, are finely tuned instruments, constantly sampling the air, providing a stream of olfactory information that complements what they see and hear. In the complex challenge of survival, every sense matters, and the gazelle's nose is as important as its eyes. You're doing so well, absorbing these insights about vision and smell, about how gazelles perceive their world. Your own senses are quieting now, turning inward, settling into peace. You're so relaxed, so calm, like a gazelle resting in the shade, alert but peaceful, aware but at ease. This combination of exceptional senses makes sense when you consider where gazelles live. Living in open habitats where cover is scarce, where there are few places to hide, gazelles have become specialists in early detection. They emphasize seeing, hearing, and smelling danger as early as possible rather than relying on hiding or camouflage alone. Their wide vision, acute hearing that can pick up the faintest sounds, and sensitive smell all work together to create a comprehensive awareness system. In the open savanna or desert, there's nowhere to hide. So the strategy is to detect threats while they're still far away, giving enough time to run. And gazelles are built for running, but even the fastest runner needs a head start. These specialized senses provide that head start. Those few extra seconds of warning can mean the difference between escape and capture. Gazelles are masters of the open landscape, perfectly adapted to a life lived in full view. where survival depends on awareness, on sensing danger before it arrives. When a gazelle detects danger, it doesn't simply flee in silence. Gazelles communicate danger and coordinate group movements with sharp bleats, snorts, and other alarm calls. Not just through body language. These vocalizations serve crucial functions. A sharp snort alerts other gazelles instantly, even those not looking in the right direction, even those on the far side of the herd. Sound travels, carries information quickly through the group. The alarm call says, "Danger," and immediately every head lifts. Every gazelle becomes alert, scanning for the threat. Different calls may convey different information. A particular sound might indicate a ground predator like a lion. Another might signal an aerial threat like an eagle. Young gazelles learn these calls from their mothers, learning the language of survival. The calls also coordinate group movement. When the herd decides to flee, vocalizations help keep everyone together, moving in the same direction, maintaining the safety of numbers even in panicked flight. Communication, sound, shared information. These are survival tools as important as speed or sharp senses. Your breathing is so slow now, so peaceful, like the quiet breath of evening wind across the plains. You're learning about communication, about signals and sounds, and these words are communicating peace to you, peace and deep relaxation. You're drifting gently, safely, toward restful sleep. Beyond vocalizations, gazelles also use visual signals to communicate, particularly that bright white rump patch visible on species like Thompson's gazelle. This white patch might seem to make the gazelle more visible, and in a way it does. But that's actually the point. When a gazelle runs, especially when it's fleeing from a predator, that white rump patch flashes brilliantly with each bound. The flash is visible from a long distance, catching the eye immediately. This acts as a visual alarm signal to other herd members. One gazelle spots a cheetah and bolts. That flashing white rump instantly alerts every other gazelle in the area, even those that haven't seen the predator yet. The message is clear and immediate. Run, now! The white patch turns each fleeing gazelle into a living alarm beacon, spreading the warning across the herd at the speed of sight. It's a beautiful example of how evolution can turn an apparent vulnerability, being more visible, into an advantage, better group communication. That bold white rump patch serves another function as well, acting like a visual beacon during escapes, helping herd members track and follow fleeing individuals through tall grass or in low light. Imagine the herd running at dusk, light failing, shapes becoming indistinct. In these conditions, that bright white patch becomes a follow-me signal, easy to see, easy to track. Gazelles fleeing together can keep the group cohesive by following those white flashing rumps ahead of them. In tall grass where individuals might lose sight of each other, the white rump patches bob above the grass line, marking positions, keeping everyone oriented. Young gazelles follow their mothers by watching that white patch. The herd stays together, moves as a unit, doesn't fragment into scattered individuals who would be more vulnerable. The white rump is both alarm and guide, both warning and beacon, serving multiple functions simultaneously. Another example of nature's elegant efficiency. One feature, multiple purposes, every detail meaningful. Let your mind be quiet now, still and peaceful. You've learned about the gazelle's senses, their vision spanning nearly a full circle, their sensitive noses detecting danger on the wind, their specialization for life in the open, their alarm calls and visual signals, the flashing white rump that warns and guides. Take a slow breath and reflect gently on this segment's journey. We discovered the gazelle's near panoramic vision, seeing almost everything around them. Their enhanced sense of smell for detecting hidden threats, their specialization for open habitats where early detection matters most. We learned how they communicate vocally with bleats and snorts, coordinating responses to danger, and we explored the beautiful dual function of the white rump patch, both a visual alarm signal and a follow-me beacon during escapes, keeping the herd safe and together. Every sense, every signal, every adaptation works together to help these graceful creatures survive. Imagine now a gazelle at twilight, eyes seeing in all directions, nose testing the wind, white rump patch visible to the herd, perfectly aware, perfectly adapted, perfectly at peace in its world. And like that gazelle, you too are perfectly at peace, safe, aware of nothing but comfort and rest. Let yourself drift now, following the white patch of sleep, deeper, deeper, into peaceful rest. Breathe, release, and sleep. Settle deeper into stillness now. Your body is so heavy, so comfortable. We're going to explore one of the gazelle's most remarkable gifts, their extraordinary speed, and the many ways they defend themselves. Just breathe slowly. Let these words flow over you like a gentle stream, carrying you deeper into peak. When we think of gazelles, we often think first of their speed, and that reputation is well deserved. Gazelles can reach burst speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. That's about 97 kilometers per hour. These are sprint speeds, short explosive bursts when a predator is close, and every fraction of a second matters. Imagine moving at 60 miles per hour on your own legs, the wind rushing past, the ground blurring beneath you. It's almost unimaginable speed for a creature running on hooves. But gazelles can't maintain that maximum speed for long. No animal can, not even cheetahs. What's equally impressive is that gazelles can sustain speeds of 30 to 40 miles per hour, 48 to 64 kilometers per hour, over much longer distances. This sustained speed is what allows them to escape predators like cheetahs, lions, and leopards. A chase might begin with explosive acceleration, but it often becomes a test of endurance. And in that test, the gazelle's ability to maintain high speed gives them a crucial advantage. They are built for speed, every aspect of their body shaped by the need to run, to escape, to survive. In those critical moments when a predator attacks, gazelles can reach speeds around 60 miles per hour in short sprints. These brief bursts of maximum speed enable them to outrun many predators over short distances. A lion charging from ambush, a leopard leaping from cover. The gazelle's instant acceleration and top speed can create just enough distance, just enough gap, to mean survival. Think of it as a sprint race. Winner takes all. But the prize for the gazelle is life itself. Their muscles fire with explosive power. Their hearts pump frantically. Every system in their body focused on one thing: speed. These burst speeds are exhausting, unsustainable, but they don't need to last long. Just enough to get clear of immediate danger, to create space, and then the chase becomes about enduring. You're doing so beautifully, learning about incredible speed, about survival. Your own body is perfectly still now, the opposite of running, perfectly at rest, every muscle relaxed, every breath slow and easy. You're safe and comfortable, drifting peacefully, like a gazelle resting after the danger has passed. And this is where the gazelle's strategy becomes truly brilliant. While predators like cheetahs are faster in short bursts, gazelles can sustain high speeds for extended periods. Some reports cite gazelles maintaining fast running for up to 20 minutes. 20 minutes of running at 30 or 40 miles per hour is extraordinary. Most predators tire much more quickly. A cheetah can only maintain top speed for about 20 to 30 seconds before overheating. After that, it must slow down or risk death from hyperthermia. The gazelle knows this, not consciously perhaps, but through instinct honed over countless generations. If the gazelle can just stay ahead for those critical seconds, if it can avoid being caught in that initial burst, the predator will tire, will give up, will slink away to rest and try again another day. The gazelle wins not by being faster in a short sprint, but by being able to keep running long after the predator must stop. It's endurance over explosive power, persistence over brief intensity, and it works. How do gazelles achieve such remarkable running efficiency? Part of the answer lies in their elastic tendons. Gazelles have long limbs with elastic tendons that store and release kinetic energy, making their running and jumping highly energy efficient. Think of these tendons as natural springs. With each stride, as the gazelle's hoof strikes the ground, the tendons stretch, storing energy like a compressed spring. Then, as the leg pushes off, the tendons release that stored energy, helping to propel the gazelle forward with less muscular effort. This system means that gazelles use less energy to maintain high speeds than they would if muscles alone powered every stride. They're essentially bouncing, using the spring-like properties of their own tendons to make each stride more efficient. This is why gazelles can run for so long without exhausting themselves. Why they can outlast predators. Their bodies are engineered for efficient locomotion. Every tendon, every bone, every muscle working together in elegant biomechanical harmony. Feel yourself sinking deeper now, deeper into the soft surface beneath you. Your own body is relaxed and efficient, breathing with minimal effort, heart beating steadily. Everything working in perfect harmony, just like the gazelle's body, but yours is oriented toward rest, toward sleep, toward peace. The gazelle's body shape contributes to their speed as well. Their slender, streamlined bodies reduce air resistance, contributing to efficient high-speed running in open habitats. Picture the gazelle's form: narrow chest, slim waist, long neck held forward when running. The air flows over them smoothly, minimal turbulence, minimal drag. They're shaped like arrows, designed to cut through air with ease. In contrast, a bulkier animal, say a buffalo, presents a much larger surface area to the wind, more resistance, more energy required to maintain speed. The gazelle's streamlined form is no accident. It's the result of millions of years of selection pressure, where the slightly sleeker gazelle escaped, survived, reproduced, and the slightly less aerodynamic one didn't. Over time, generation after generation, the population became more streamlined, more perfectly shaped for speed. Form follows function in nature, and the gazelle's slender beauty is functional beauty. Every curve serving the purpose of survival. Speed alone wouldn't be enough if gazelles could only run in straight lines. But they can make rapid, sharp turns while running at full speed, making it harder for predators to track and catch them. A cheetah chasing a gazelle must predict where the gazelle will be, must commit to a path at 60 or 70 miles per hour. A cheetah can't turn on a dime, but the gazelle, lighter and more agile, can change direction suddenly. One moment running left, the next cutting sharply right. The predator overshoots, has to slow down, turn around, try to relocate the prey. Those precious seconds give the gazelle more distance, more time, more chance of survival. This agility, this ability to jink and dodge at high speed, adds another dimension to the gazelle's defensive arsenal. It's not just about straight-line speed. It's about maneuverability, about being unpredictable, making yourself a difficult target to catch. You're more than halfway through this peaceful segment, learning about speed and agility, about survival strategies, and you're so relaxed now, your mind floating gently, absorbing these truths without effort. You might already be drifting at the edges of sleep, and that's perfect. Just let yourself go. There's nothing to hold on to, nothing to worry about. One of the most distinctive and fascinating gazelle behaviors is called pronking or stotting. When threatened or excited, Gazelles perform a distinctive high leap, jumping with all four legs stiff, landing on all 4 feet at once, then immediately leaping again. They can jump up to 10 feet, 3 meters, in the air during these pronks. It's a spectacular sight. A gazelle bouncing across the savanna like it's on springs. All 4 legs rigid, back arched. Sometimes entire herds do it, creating a bouncing wave of gazelles. But why? It seems counterintuitive. When a predator is near, wouldn't it be better to run flat out rather than waste energy jumping? Scientists have debated the function of starting for years. One theory is that it confuses predators. The erratic bouncing makes it harder to predict where the gazelle will be, harder to time an attack. Another theory suggests it's a form of contagious alarm behavior. One gazelle starting triggers others, spreading the alert through the herd. Young gazelles sometimes seem to pronk out of sheer exuberance, pure joy of movement, but there's likely another function as well. Many researchers now believe that pronking or starting may actually advertise an individual's vigor to predators. It's a signal of fitness. Think about it from the predator's perspective. A gazelle that can waste energy on these spectacular high jumps while being chased is clearly very fit, very strong, very hard to catch. The pronk is essentially saying to the predator, "Look how strong I am. Look how much energy I have to spare. I can jump 10 feet in the air and still outrun you. You should chase someone else." Predators are intelligent. They make cost-benefit calculations. Why waste energy chasing the strongest, fittest prey when there might be easier targets available? So a gazelle that starts convincingly might actually avoid being chased at all. The predator sees the display, thinks too costly, and looks for weaker prey instead. It's honest signaling. Only a truly fit gazelle can perform these energy-expensive jumps. So the signal is reliable, and if it prevents a chase from even starting, it's energy well spent. Let your whole body be still and heavy now. You've learned so much about running and jumping, about signals and strategies. Your mind is quiet, peaceful, like the savanna at dusk when the chases are over. When gazelles can finally rest, you too can rest now, deeply, completely. Despite all their speed and agility, gazelles have another defensive strategy that seems quite different. Sometimes, when predators are nearby, gazelles lie still and conceal themselves in tall grass, relying on camouflage rather than speed. This might seem surprising, but it makes sense in certain situations. A young calf, not yet fast enough to outrun a predator, will freeze and drop into the grass at its mother's signal. This tan coat, perfectly matching the dry grass, makes it almost invisible. If the predator passes by without detecting the frozen calf, danger is avoided without any exhausting chase. Even adult gazelles sometimes use this strategy. If a predator is searching but hasn't yet located them, Remaining perfectly still might be safer than running and drawing attention. Movement catches the eye. Stillness can render even a large animal nearly invisible, especially in the dappled light and shadow of grassland. So gazelles have options. Sometimes run, sometimes hide. The wisdom is knowing which strategy to use when. And finally, when all else fails, when a gazelle is cornered with no room to run, they have one more line of defense. Gazelles will use their curved, ringed horns to fend off predators or rivals during close encounters. Those beautiful horns, the ones we admired earlier for their elegant curves and texture, are also weapons. A gazelle backed into a corner will lower its head, present those sharp-tipped horns, and strike. They can deliver powerful upward jabs. The horns can wound, can cause pain, can make a predator think twice. Against other gazelles, in territorial disputes or competition for mates, these horns clash together, push and wrestle, test strength. The horns are the last resort, because if a gazelle is close enough to use its horns against a predator, it's already in grave danger. But they provide some chance, some option even in the worst situation. Better to fight than to surrender. Those horns have saved lives, have driven off predators, have earned gazelles one more day. Let's breathe slowly now and reflect on this segment's journey. We learned about the gazelle's impressive speed, up to 60 miles per hour in bursts, and their ability to sustain high speeds for up to 20 minutes, outlasting predators. We discovered how elastic tendons and streamlined bodies make their running energy efficient, how sharp turns make them harder to catch. We explored the fascinating behavior of pronking or stotting, those spectacular jumps that may signal fitness to predators. And we learned that gazelles have multiple defensive strategies: speed, hiding, and as a last resort, using their horns in active defense. Every strategy, every adaptation, every choice serves the single goal of survival. Imagine now a gazelle, safe for the moment, resting in tall grass as stars begin to appear. The day's dangers have passed. The running is done. Now is the time for stillness, for rest, for recovery. Be like that gazelle. Let the running of your day be done. Let stillness come. Let rest arrive. Natural, peaceful, inevitable. Breathe deeply, slowly, and drift into peaceful sleep. Let yourself relax even more deeply now. Your body is so still, so peaceful. We're going to explore the gazelle's life cycle, from birth through growth to maturity. The gentle rhythm of life continuing across generations. Just breathe slowly and let these words wash over you like warm, gentle wave. Let's begin with names. The terms we use for gazelles at different stages of life and of different sexes. Male gazelles are called bucks, while females are called does. This naming convention is similar to what we use for deer, though as we learned earlier, gazelles are not deer at all. Still, the similarity in names reflects a similarity in form and grace. A buck gazelle, with his larger horns and slightly more robust build, a doe gazelle, slender and alert, often with a calf nearby. These simple terms, buck and doe, connect gazelles to a broader tradition of naming, a way humans have organized our understanding of these graceful creatures. The words themselves are gentle, single syllables, easy on the tongue, easy on the mind. Buck, doe, simple, peaceful. A newborn gazelle is called a calf, though sometimes it's also referred to as a fawn. Both terms are used. Both are correct. Calf is perhaps more common among scientists, while fawn has a more poetic quality, evoking images from storybooks and fairy tales. Whatever we call them, these newborns are remarkably large relative to their mothers, sometimes weighing up to 10% of the mother's body weight at birth. Imagine that proportion. If a mother gazelle weighs 40 kilograms, her calf might weigh 4 kilograms, nearly 9 pounds. That's a substantial baby, and giving birth requires enormous effort from the mother. But that large size is actually an advantage for the calf. Bigger babies are stronger, better able to stand quickly, better equipped to run from predators in those critical first days of life. The mother's sacrifice, carrying and delivering a large calf, is an investment in that calf's survival. You're doing wonderfully, breathing so peacefully, learning about the cycle of life, about mothers and babies, about names and beginnings. Your mind is so calm now, so open and receptive, like the savannah welcoming new life. There's such peace in this, in simply listening, in letting knowledge flow through you without effort. Gazelles don't breed randomly throughout the year. Instead, mating typically occurs during rainy seasons. This timing is crucial. It means that births will coincide with periods of abundant water and fresh vegetation, improving calf survival dramatically. Think about the cycle. Rains come, grasses grow green and lush, food becomes abundant. This is when calves are born, when mothers have access to nutritious food to produce rich milk, when the calves themselves, once weaned, can graze on tender new growth. If calves were born during the dry season, mothers would struggle to produce milk. Young calves would find little to eat. Survival rates would plummet. But evolution has synchronized the gazelle's reproductive cycle with the rhythm of the rains, with the seasons of plenty. The does come into estrus when the rains begin or are expected. The bucks compete for mating opportunities, and roughly 6 months later, when the next rainy season arrives, the calves are born into abundance. It's nature's perfect timing, honed over countless generations. This breeding season brings out particular behaviors in male gazelles. In several species, dominant males establish and defend small territories that contain resources attractive to females. Rather than simply roaming with mixed herds, these territorial bucks claim a patch of ground. This territory might contain particularly good grazing, or access to water, or simply good visibility and safety from predators. The buck marks his territory with scent. From glands near his eyes, he deposits dung in specific middens, territorial markers, and then he waits, defending his territory against other males. When a group of does passes through, he tries to keep them in his territory, to mate with them, to pass on his genes. It's a high-energy strategy. Territorial males must constantly patrol, constantly defend, constantly display. They often lose weight during the breeding season, burning energy faster than they can consume it. But if successful, if they mate with multiple females, the genetic payoff is worth the cost. Feel yourself sinking deeper into comfort, deeper into peace. You're learning about territories, about competition, about the costs and rewards of reproduction, and it's all flowing through your mind so gently, so easily. You're so relaxed. You're breathing so slow and steady, like the patient breathing of a gazelle at rest. During breeding seasons, male competition becomes visible and dramatic. Males engage in ritualized horn-to-horn contests used to establish dominance and mating access. Two bucks approach each other, lower their heads, and bring their horns together with a sharp crack. Then they push, twist, test each other's strength. Their horns interlock. Those ridges and curves we learned about earlier serve a purpose here, preventing the horns from slipping apart, keeping the contest safe. And that's the key. These are ritualized contests, not fatal fights. The goal is to establish dominance, to determine who is stronger, but not to inflict serious injury. Fatal fights would be counterproductive, removing males from the breeding population, weakening the species. So evolution has shaped these contests into rituals, with unspoken rules. When one male is clearly overpowered, he withdraws. The winner doesn't pursue, doesn't press the advantage to injury or death. The loser lives to try again another day, perhaps growing stronger, perhaps winning next season. It's combat, but civilized combat, war with honor, aggression channeled into productive competition rather than destructive violence. Let's consider the gazelle's overall lifespan and reproductive pattern. In the wild, gazelles typically live 10 to 12 years. That's their natural lifespan. Though many don't reach that age, falling to predators, disease, drought, the ones that survive, that navigate all the dangers, might see a decade of life, watching seasons turn, raising multiple generations of calves. Females have a gestation period of about 6 months, roughly similar to human pregnancy, though slightly shorter, and they usually give birth to 1 or 2 calves at a time. Twins are not uncommon, though single births are perhaps more typical. After giving birth, The mother faces perhaps the most challenging period of her life. She must produce milk for her calf or calves, must remain vigilant against predators who specifically target vulnerable newborns, must teach her young the skills they need to survive. It's exhausting work, but it's the core of life's continuation. Each mother, raising her calves, ensuring that the next generation survives. That's how populations persist, how species endure. One mother, one calf, one season at a time. You're more than halfway through this gentle segment, and you're so peaceful now, so deeply relaxed. Your mind is absorbing these truths about life cycles, about birth and growth, and it's soothing, comforting, like a lullaby, carrying you softly towards sleep. The length of pregnancy varies somewhat by species, but typically falls between 5 and 7 months. 6 months is a common middle ground, but some smaller gazelle species might have slightly shorter gestations, around 5 months, while larger species might carry their young for closer to 7 months. This variation allows different species to fine-tune their reproductive timing to their specific environments. A species in a region with very predictable seasonal rains might have a more rigid 6-month gestation, timing births precisely to the optimal season. A species in a more variable environment might have more flexibility, allowing births to occur across a wider window. The general principle remains the same: align births with favorable conditions, but the details vary. Nature is not a rigid system of absolute rules, but rather a flexible framework, allowing variation, allowing adaptation to local circumstances. While 1 or 2 calves are typical, female gazelles can actually give birth to as many as 4 young in a single litter. For calves at once is rare, but it happens. Imagine the challenge for a mother with quadruplets, for hungry mouths demanding milk, for young bodies to watch over and protect, for calves to teach and guide. It would be exhausting. And indeed, survival rates for calves in large litters are often lower than for singletons or twins. The mother may not produce enough milk for all 4, or she may not be able to adequately protect all of them from predators. Often in these situations, some calves survive while others don't. It's harsh, but it's nature's way. The mother invests what she can, and the strongest calves, the ones who can compete most effectively for milk and attention, are the ones most likely to survive. Even so, if conditions are very favorable, if the rainy season is particularly abundant, a mother might successfully raise 3 or even 4 calves, a rare and remarkable achievement. Your breathing is so slow now, so peaceful and regular, like the gentle rhythm of a mother gazelle's breath as she watches over her sleeping calf. You're safe, you're comfortable, you're learning about mothers and babies, about care and survival, and it's also soothing. Immediately after giving birth, the mother gazelle engages in crucial behaviors to protect her newborn. She thoroughly cleans the newborn, licking away the birth fluids, stimulating circulation, learning the calf's scent. This cleaning serves multiple purposes. It helps the calf breathe, helps warm and dry it, and bonds mother to baby through scent and touch. But the mother doesn't stop there. She will also consume the afterbirth, the placenta and membranes that supported the calf during pregnancy. This behavior might seem strange, but it serves vital functions. The afterbirth is rich in nutrients, helping the exhausted mother recover her strength. More importantly, consuming the afterbirth eliminates evidence of the birth, reducing scent cues for predators. Hyenas, wild dogs, jackals. All these predators hunt partly by smell. The scent of birth fluids and afterbirth would draw them like a beacon, putting the vulnerable newborn at terrible risk. By consuming all of this material, the mother protects her calf, giving it a chance to gain strength before predators arrive. Its instinctive care evolved over millions of years, every behavior serving survival. One of the most remarkable things about gazelle calves, something that sets them apart from many other mammals, is how quickly they become mobile. Like young giraffes, many gazelle calves can stand, walk, and even run within days of birth. In fact, the timeline is even shorter than that. Fawns are what biologists call precocial, meaning they're born in an advanced state of development. Within minutes of birth, a calf will struggle to its feet, legs wobbling, balance uncertain, but standing nonetheless. Within a few hours, that same calf can run, not with the speed and grace of an adult, but fast enough to potentially escape a predator. This immediate mobility is crucial for survival. In the open habitats where gazelles live, there's nowhere to hide a helpless baby. The calf must be able to move, to follow its mother, to run when danger threatens. Being precocial is the gazelle calf's superpower. It gives them a fighting chance from the very first day of life. Let's think more about just how quickly these newborns can run. Fawns can stand within minutes. We just learned that. But they're capable of running just a few hours after birth. A calf born at dawn might be running by midday, hours old, and already fleeing from danger. This gives them an immediate survival advantage in a world filled with predators. Not every predator is deterred. Of course, young calves are still vulnerable, still slower and less coordinated than adults. But a running calf is much harder to catch than a helpless one lying in the grass. This rapid development is possible because calves are relatively large at birth. Remember that 10% of mother's body weight, and well developed. Their legs are long and strong. Their eyes are open. Their instincts are active. They're ready for life in a harsh world from the moment they emerge. It's a different strategy than helpless newborns like kittens or puppies, but it's the right strategy for life on the open plains. You're doing so beautifully, learning about these remarkable babies, born ready to run, ready to survive. Your own body was once a baby too, growing, developing, and now it's fully grown and fully relaxed, heavy and still, peaceful and calm. Let yourself drift deeper now, like a calf drifting into sleep beside its mother. This early mobility is matched by rapid postnatal growth. Juvenile gazelles grow quickly, their rapid growth rate enabling early independence. In the first weeks and months of life, calves put on weight, gain height, develop strength and coordination at impressive rates. This rapid growth allows calves to keep up with the herd. Within weeks, a calf can match the herd's traveling pace, can graze alongside adults, can participate fully in herd life. They're still nursing, still dependent on mother's milk for much of their nutrition, but they're also beginning to sample grass, to develop their digestive systems. By a few months old, they're eating substantial amounts of vegetation, transitioning toward independent feeding. This rapid maturation is another survival adaptation. The sooner a calf can keep up, can feed itself, can function independently, the better its chances of surviving to adulthood. By about 6 months old, young gazelles can separate from their mothers and begin feeding independently. 6 months, half a year. That's remarkably fast compared to many mammals. Human babies are still utterly dependent at 6 months, barely able to sit up, nowhere near ready to find their own food. But gazelle calves at 6 months are essentially juveniles, capable of grazing, of finding water, of watching for predators. They may still associate with their mothers, may still nurse occasionally, but they can survive on their own if necessary. This early independence is crucial because the mother may already be pregnant again, preparing to give birth to the next calf. She needs to be able to invest her energy in the new baby, and the older calf needs to be self-sufficient. It's a fast childhood, a compressed maturation, but it works for gazelles in their challenging environment. And remarkably, gazelles can reach sexual maturity and be capable of breeding at around 1 year of age. 1 year old and ready to reproduce. This seems incredibly young, and it is, but it makes sense in the context of a gazelle's life. With a lifespan of only 10 to 12 years, and with high predation pressure, early reproduction is essential. A doe who waits several years to breed might never get the chance, might fall to a predator first. But a doe who breeds at 1 year, who produces calves every year or two throughout her life, can leave many descendants, can make a real contribution to the next generation. Not all 1-year-olds breed successfully. Older, more experienced females often outcompete younger ones for resources and prime habitats. But the capability is there, the biological readiness, and some young gazelles do successfully reproduce in their first year. It's a fast life, from birth to independence to reproduction, but it's a life well adapted to the urgencies and dangers of the wild. Let your mind be very quiet now. Very still. You've learned so much about the gazelle's life cycle, from birth through growth to maturity. from helpless newborn to running calf to independent juvenile to breeding adult, all in the span of a single year. It's the rhythm of life, fast and beautiful. Let's take a slow breath and reflect peacefully on this segment. We learned the names for gazelles, bucks and does, calves or fawns. We discovered their seasonal breeding, time to the rains, and the territorial behavior of breeding males, their ritualized sparring contests. We explored their reproductive biology, gestation of 5 to 7 months, litters of 1 to 4 calves, mothers cleaning newborns and consuming afterbirth to hide scent from predators. We marveled at how quickly calves develop, standing within minutes, running within hours, growing rapidly to independence by 6 months, and reaching sexual maturity by 1 year. It's a compressed life cycle, a fast track from birth to adulthood, perfectly suited to life on the African plains. As you drift towards sleep now, imagine a mother gazelle and her calf, resting together in the cool evening. The calf is fed, safe, growing stronger each day. The mother watches over her baby, patient, protective, peaceful. Let yourself feel that peace, that safety, that gentle care, and like that calf, surrender to sleep, to rest, to the healing power of deep, peaceful, gentle sleep. Breathe, release, and sleep deeply. Welcome to this final peaceful segment of our journey. Let yourself be completely relaxed now. Your body is so heavy, so still. We're going to explore how gazelles move across the landscape, their place in the modern world, and the challenges they face. Just breathe, slowly and deeply, letting each word carry you closer to sleep. Not all gazelle populations stay in one place throughout the year. Some gazelle populations are nomadic, moving across the landscape to follow seasonal patterns of plant growth and rainfall rather than staying in one fixed territory. Imagine a life of constant movement, never settling in one place, always following the rains, always seeking fresh grass. These nomadic gazelles are like wanderers, reading the landscape, sensing where the next rainstorm has fallen, traveling sometimes dozens or even hundreds of miles to reach areas where grass has sprouted green and fresh. They don't establish permanent homes, don't defend year-round territories. Instead, they flow across the land like water, filling in wherever resources appear, moving on when those resources are depleted. It's a challenging lifestyle, requiring constant vigilance, constant decision-making about where to go next, but it's also liberating in a way. These gazelles aren't tied to one place, aren't trapped if local conditions deteriorate. They can simply move, always seeking, always adapting, following the ancient rhythms of rain and growth across vast landscapes. This nomadic lifestyle often takes the form of seasonal migrations. Many gazelle populations undertake annual migration cycles each year, tracking rainfall and fresh plant growth across large distances. These migrations follow predictable patterns, shaped by seasonal weather systems. In East Africa, for example, the pattern of rains is fairly consistent year to year. The short rains come in one season, the long rains in another. Gazelles learn these patterns, perhaps not consciously, but through instinct and experience. When the rains come to the northern plains, the herds move north. When the southern grasslands green up, the herds flow south. These migrations can involve thousands of animals, not just gazelles but also wildebeest, zebras, and other grazers, all moving together in a great circuit across the landscape. It's one of nature's most spectacular phenomena, the annual migration, a living river of animals flowing across the earth, following the rain, following the grass, following life itself. You're doing so wonderfully, breathing so peacefully, learning about movement and migration, about following natural rhythms. Your own body has natural rhythms too. The rhythm of your breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat, and the rhythm of sleep calling to you now. So gentle, so natural, you're so relaxed, so ready to rest. Gazelles are social animals, and like all social animals, they sometimes have disputes, but most of these disputes are settled peacefully. Gazelles use specific body postures and warning signals to settle disputes without fighting, conserving energy and reducing injury risk. A dominant gazelle might simply stand tall, head raised, looking directly at a subordinate. That look, that posture, is usually enough. The subordinate lowers its head, turns away, moves off. Conflict avoided. Or two gazelles competing for a patch of grass might engage in a brief posturing display. Heads lowered, horns presented, but without actually making contact. One assesses the other's size and confidence, decides it's not worth escalating, and backs down. These ritualized displays, these silent communications through body language, save energy and prevent injuries. Fighting is costly. Even the winner of a fight can be injured, can waste precious calories, can attract predators drawn to the commotion. So gazelles, like many animals, have evolved ways to establish dominance and settle disputes without actual combat. Most conflicts end with gestures, not violence. A peaceful solution, energy conserved. Everyone survives to graze another day. Life in the wild is beautiful but harsh, and gazelles face many threats beyond predators. One common cause of death, particularly in certain regions, is starvation during cold winters when food becomes scarce. In areas where gazelles experience true winter conditions, where temperatures drop and vegetation dies back, survival becomes a challenge, especially for younger or weaker individuals. Young gazelles, not yet fully grown, have smaller fat reserves to draw on. Old gazelles, their teeth worn down by years of grinding tough vegetation, may not be able to process food efficiently enough to maintain their weight. Sick or injured gazelles, already weakened, may not be able to compete for the limited food available. When winter is long and harsh, when spring seems delayed, these vulnerable individuals reach a point where their bodies simply cannot continue. They grow weak, lie down, and don't rise again. It's a quiet death, not the dramatic end of a predator's chase, but no less final. Winter starvation is one of nature's ways of testing populations, harsh but natural, ensuring that the strongest, the healthiest, the most resilient individuals survive to breed the next generation. Feel yourself sinking deeper now, deeper into comfort and peace. You're learning about challenges, about survival, about the cycles of life and death, and yet you're so calm, so relaxed, because you're safe, you're warm, you're comfortable. Let these gentle truths about the natural world simply flow through your peaceful mind. While life in the wild is challenging and relatively short, gazelles can live much longer under human care. While wild gazelles typically live around 10 to 12 years, individuals in captivity have been recorded living up to about 20 years. 20 years, nearly double their wild lifespan. In captivity, gazelles don't face predators. They receive regular food regardless of season or drought. They get veterinary care when sick or injured. The stresses that shorten life in the wild are absent. Of course, captivity has its own challenges. The loss of freedom, the confined space, the inability to engage in natural behaviors like migration. But from a purely physical standpoint, a gazelle in a good zoo or wildlife preserve can live a long life, twice as long as its wild cousins. These elderly captive gazelles become living libraries, teaching researchers about gazelle behavior, physiology, and longevity. They help breeding programs that aim to preserve endangered species, and they introduce millions of zoo visitors to the beauty and grace of gazelles, inspiring conservation awareness. Speaking of endangered species, let's return to one we mentioned earlier, the Dama gazelle, which reaches the greatest shoulder height of all gazelles, holds the unfortunate distinction of being classified as critically endangered. This magnificent animal, the tallest of its kind, standing up to 5.5 feet at the shoulder, is on the brink of extinction in the wild. Habitat loss has shrunk its range dramatically. The Sahel region of Africa, where Dama gazelles once roamed in large numbers, has been transformed by human expansion, by agriculture, by desertification. Hunting has taken a terrible toll as well. Despite legal protections, poaching continues. Current estimates suggest only a few hundred Dama gazelles remain in the wild, scattered across a handful of countries. Captive breeding programs are working desperately to save the species. Zoos around the world maintain breeding populations, and there have been some reintroduction efforts, returning captive-bred gazelles to protected areas in their historic range. But the Dama gazelle's future hangs in the balance. The tallest gazelle, one of the most beautiful, may not survive to see the next century. You're more than halfway through this final segment, and you're so deeply relaxed. Your breathing is so slow, so steady. You're learning about endangered species, about conservation challenges. And while these facts carry some sadness, they also remind us of the value of these beautiful creatures, of why they matter, why they're worth protecting. Let yourself feel peaceful, knowing that people are working to save these animals. The Dama gazelle isn't the only species in trouble. In fact, at least one gazelle lineage has already been lost forever. The Queen of Sheba's gazelle, a subspecies from Yemen, was driven to extinction by human hunting over 70 years ago. The last confirmed sighting was in the 1950s. Since then, despite searches, not a single individual has been found. This gazelle, named romantically after the legendary queen, is gone from the earth. Think about what that means. An entire lineage, shaped by millions of years of evolution, adapted to the mountains of Yemen, possessing unique genes, unique behaviors, unique beauty, erased. Once common enough to be regularly hunted, the Queen of Sheba's gazelle was systematically eliminated, hunted for meat, for sport, without thought for sustainability, until there were none left. It's a sobering reminder of human impact, of how quickly we can destroy what took nature millennia to create. The Queen of Sheba's gazelle is gone, but its loss teaches us, reminds us to protect the species that remain, before they too vanish into memory and museum specimens. Despite their grace and beauty, despite their apparent gentleness, gazelles have never been successfully domesticated. They cannot become pets or livestock. Several attempts have been made over thousands of years. Ancient peoples in the Middle East tried to keep and breed gazelles. Modern efforts have also failed. Gazelles simply don't adapt well to captivity in the way that sheep, goats, and cattle did. They remain nervous, easily stressed. They don't breed reliably under human management. They're prone to panic, injuring themselves in their attempts to escape. The wildness in them, that wariness, that constant readiness to flee, cannot be bred out in a few generations. True domestication takes thousands of years, and it only works with species that have certain psychological and behavioral traits. Gazelles apparently lack these traits. They remain fundamentally wild, and several species are now threatened or endangered in that wild state. We cannot save them through domestication, through making them useful to humans as livestock. We can only save them by protecting their wild habitats, by allowing them to remain what they've always been: wild, free, and graceful. Let your whole body be heavy now, so heavy and still. You're learning about domestication, about wildness, about what can and cannot be tamed, and perhaps there's something comforting in knowing that some creatures remain wild, remain free, remain untamed by human hands. Let that thought settle peacefully into your quiet mind. As scientists continue to study gazelles using modern genetic techniques, our understanding of these animals continues to evolve. Recent taxonomic revisions have emerged as some populations formerly lumped under the general category of gazelle are being re-examined genetically. DNA analysis can reveal relationships that aren't visible from physical appearance alone. Some populations that look very similar may actually be quite different genetically, different enough to be considered separate species. Other populations that were thought to be distinct species might actually be the same species showing regional variation. These genetic studies are leading to proposals to split or reclassify certain lineages within the Bovidae family. What this means is that the number of gazelle species, which we said earlier is about 19, might change. Some species might be split into 2 or more species, others might be combined. The scientific understanding of gazelles is not fixed, not frozen, but constantly being refined as new tools and techniques reveal new information. It's a reminder that science is a process, always learning, always correcting, always seeking a more accurate understanding of the natural world. These genetic studies reveal more than just relationships between species. Genomic studies are highlighting fascinating details about what makes gazelles so special. Scientists have found conserved regions in gazelle mitochondrial DNA that correlate with rapid locomotion and environmental resilience. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of cells, the organelles that produce energy. Mitochondrial DNA, inherited only from the mother, evolves relatively quickly and can show adaptations to specific lifestyles. In gazelles, certain genes related to energy metabolism show signatures of strong selection, meaning they've been optimized over many generations for efficiency. These genes help underpin the gazelle's sprinting specialization, their remarkable ability to run fast and long. They also relate to environmental resilience, the ability to function in harsh conditions, to maintain high performance even in heat, even with limited water. At the molecular level, in their very DNA, gazelles are built for speed and survival. Evolution has sculpted not just their bodies, but their genes, every level of their being optimized for the life they lead. You're so peaceful now, so deeply relaxed, learning about DNA and genetics, about the molecular basis of speed and grace, and it's all flowing through your mind like a gentle stream, requiring nothing from you, just peaceful awareness, peaceful drift toward complete rest. As we come to the close of our journey, let's remember where we began. Gazelles belong to the genus Gazella in the family Bovidae. They share ancestry with antelopes and wild sheep, but they form a distinct evolutionary lineage, a unique branch on the tree of life. They're not deer, though they resemble them. They're not exactly like any other animal. They are themselves perfectly adapted to their ecological niche, shaped by millions of years of evolution into the swift, graceful creatures we've come to know through these 100 facts. From their poetic name to their molecular biology, from birth to old age, from their horns to their hooves, every aspect of the gazelle tells a story of adaptation, of survival, of beauty emerging from the pressures of a challenging world. Let's take a slow, final breath and reflect on this last segment of our journey together. We learned that many gazelles are nomadic, undertaking annual migrations to follow rainfall and plant growth across vast distances. We discovered how they avoid fights through postures and signals, how some die of starvation in harsh winters, but how they can live 20 years in captivity. We confronted the sad reality that the beautiful Dama gazelle is critically endangered, that the Queen of Sheba's gazelle is already extinct, lost to hunting. We learned that gazelles cannot be domesticated, that they remain fundamentally wild. And we explored how modern genetics is revising our understanding of gazelle taxonomy and revealing the molecular basis of their speed and resilience. Imagine now, one last time, a gazelle on the open plain, standing in golden evening light, perfectly still, perfectly aware, perfectly at peace in its wild world. The breeze moves through its fur. Its dark eyes reflect the fading sun. It is exactly what it's meant to be. Nothing more, nothing less, complete, whole, at peace. And like that gazelle, you too can be at peace. You've completed this journey, learned 100 facts about these remarkable animals, and now, there's nothing more to do, nothing more to learn tonight, only sleep, deep, peaceful, restorative sleep. Let yourself go completely now, like the sun setting on the savannah, like the day giving way to night, inevitable, natural, peaceful. You are safe. You are comfortable. You are ready to sleep, so sleep now, deeply and well. Rest in the peace of the gazelle, in the peace of the wild places, in the peace of complete, total, beautiful rest. Breathe, release, and sleep deeply, peacefully, completely. Thank you for joining this journey into the world of gazelles. May your sleep be deep, your dreams be peaceful, and may you wake refreshed. Good night.